From Dell Diamond in Round Rock, Texas, it's the 2014 UIL Baseball State Tournament, the 5A championship game between the San Antonio Reagan Rattlers and the Flower Mound Jaguars. And a very pleasant good day to you. I'm Gerald Sanchez, along with Jeff Power. Both these teams playing for a 5A state championship for the first time in school history. And for yesterday, Flower Mound, a walk in the park, John.
Yeah, absolutely. 12 walks. That will help. Pearland giving up 12 bases on balls in that loss to a really sound and fundamental squad. I'm telling you, no doubt about it. When you look at this team, Danny Wallace has got Flower Mound playing their best baseball of the season. Awesome defense, great pitching, timely hitting. They can get it done all the way across the field. This is a team that looks to be the favorite on paper. San Antonio Reagan, hey, you know what? They got over the hump. They had been to the regional final 6 consecutive years, and now they finally got to the state championship for the first time here in the Final Four. It's an awesome matchup. We talked to both coaches to get their feel, the pulse of this game.
It's great for, everybody that's ever played at Reagan, and we've been fortunate to have some really good teams, and now these guys get to play for it all, and I mean, it's just a big program thing.
Our community's extremely excited for the kids to be here, and we got a big-time send-off yesterday, and we knew we were going to have a big crowd today, and yeah, they feed off of it.
You got to go back all the way to 2008, the last time a team from the Metroplex won a state championship in baseball. And for San Antonio, the greater San Antonio area has never won a 5A state championship in baseball. It should be a good one today. We'll be back with the starting lineups in the first pitch right after this. Welcome back to Dell Diamond, home of the Round Rock Express, the AAA affiliate of the Texas Rangers. Fans all excited and ready for today's game between San Antonio Reagan and the Flower Mound Jaguars. San Antonio Reagan, a come-from-behind victory in the semifinal yesterday against Atascocita 5-4, and Flower Mound, they benefited from 12 Pearland walks along with 3 hit batters to go on to an 8-1 victory. Seth Jordan for Flower Mound is warming it up, the left-hander. He'll be headed to West Virginia next year.
Yeah, as is B.J. Myers, a lot of West Virginia future baseball players here on this Flower Mound squad. So they enter the Big 12, and what do you know? They start recruiting Texas. Go figure.
And let's look at the starting lineups brought to you by Ford. For the Reagan Rattlers, the top 3, Morrow, Thompson, Brookover. Middle 3, Brooks, Bourmet, and Sosa. Bourmet, our player of the game yesterday. Leone catching, Warhorse in center, and Celsor is playing over at first base.
Very strong Reagan lineup right there. They had a very strong 5th inning, scored 4 runs, and that was kind of the impact inning for them, if you will, against Humble Atascocita, and they went on to win it 5-4. So crooked numbers always help baseball teams.
Flower Mound, a record of 33 wins, 12 losses, and a tie, and Reagan with a 34-6. Reagan, the district champion at 26 5A. Flower Mound coming out of District 5 5A. So this is the Region 1 champion against the Region 4 champion. And we said at our open, it's been a while for the Metroplex to win a state championship. They've only won 3 state titles since it moved to 5A in 1981. In San Antonio, the greater San Antonio area in baseball, they've done it in 4A a couple of times, but never at the 5A level.
Yeah, back in 1968, San Antonio Highlands won the 4A state baseball title. That was the highest classification back then, but in those city limits of San Antonio, it has been limited.
So it is Zach Morrow to lead it off against Seth Jordan. First pitch inside, and we are underway. The 5A state championship from Dell Diamond in Round Rock, Texas. Glad you could join us. Jordan will feature a fastball, curve, change, and slider. He can throw them all for strikes. In fact, visiting with Danny Wallace, head coach of Flower Mound, I asked him, well, who is your number one? He says, I have 3 number ones.
And you know the thing about Seth Jordan, he has been a varsity baseball pitcher since day one. He walked out there his freshman year and said, I'm on the varsity, and he's been there ever since.
Baseball 90% mental, right? It's fouled on the first base side. Danny Wallace, no stranger to the Central Texas area, the head coach for Flower Mound.
Yeah, University of Texas, played under Cliff Gustafson back in the late 80s. He played outfield back then.
Good at bat by Morrow. He's fouling off a couple of pitches here.
You know, in fact, Danny Wallace, this is actually his second trip to the state tournament. He took Hutto here in Class 2A. Hutto right down the road here on Highway 79, about as close as you could get to the Dell Diamond as far as high schools are concerned.
And that hits him. With 2 strikes. Obviously Jordan didn't mean to, but it came inside. Now, home plate umpire Tony Holland saying that Morrow didn't get out of the way.
Yeah, interesting. Kind of left that shoulder hanging out there, and that's a good call right there. I mean, you do have to make an effort to get out of the way. You can't just assume you're going to take that base the minute you get hit.
Chance Chapman, head coach, discussing it with the home plate umpire Tony Holland. Chapman, no stranger to the state tournament. As a player, he's from Hallettsville.
Yeah, Hallettsville, of course, coming off a state championship victory. Rich tradition in baseball.
Won it his junior year and lost his senior year. In there. So from being hit by a pitch to a breaking ball, strike 3 called, the momentum early on has really shifted right there.
Yeah, what a change of events, and that's how baseball goes, as Ron Washington says for the Texas Rangers.
Jack Thompson goes after the first offering from Jordan and skies it. And Hill making the play.
That's always a tough play, looking directly into that sunshine. You've got that nearly high noon sky. That's a tougher play than you think.
2 up and 2 down for Reagan. Brings up the pitcher, Ben Brookover. So mound opponent versus mound opponent here in the first. Some clouds in the sky, but bright sunshine in Round Rock. A warm Saturday to start the championship game. Another first pitch swinging. Juan Hannon in center making the play, and that will be the first inning for the Reagan Rattlers. Scoreless top of the first for San Antonio Reagan, and now it is Brookover, the right-hander, will face this lineup for Flower Mound, brought to you by Ford. Leading it off and playing center field, Connor Wanhanen. A couple of great plays out in center yesterday against Pearland. Cox, Andrews, middle three, Weimer, Millard, and Hill. And the bottom three was Sloma, Jacobson, and Hanna.
You know, the story with Ben Brookover, by the way, that shoulder injury, missed 16 games during the regular season. In fact, didn't even make it back until the postseason, and now it's his ball game.
As the season progressed, he started getting stronger and stronger. And in the playoffs, he has been a very valuable arm. As was Troy Montemayor, who pitched the semifinal yesterday. Montemayor 8-1 with that victory yesterday in the 2014 playoffs. As Wanhanen steps in, Wanhanen will be headed to TCU next year.
Yeah, the Big 12 well represented in this game.
College baseball in Texas is alive and well, isn't it, Jeff?
Absolutely. We got a super regional going on down the road. UT and University of Houston.
I would imagine there's got to be a little bit of early jitters for both these pitchers.
Sure, and you know, Brookover, by the way, is headed to UTSA as he toes that rubber. He's a solid pitcher. I mean, he'll come out there and he's a workhorse.
So far, he has yet to throw a strike to the leadoff batter, Wanhanen.
By the way, his head coach, Chance Chapman, his uncle, Steve Chapman, out at Cal Allen, baseball-rich family there with the Chapmans. And Chance has done a fine job with the Reagan Raiders.
Uncle Steve has won 3 state championships as the head coach over for the Cal Allen Wildcats. Leadoff walk. As Wanhanen goes, so does this Flower Mound Ball Club.
Yeah, he's so dangerous. He's a great leadoff batter. And when you think about the 12 walks, I mean, they were just able to move runners around against Pearland in that semifinal. But they play pressure-style baseball.
Skylar Cox showing bunt, and it's a strike in there. Pressure baseball, you talked about it. And I think that they've got a unique weapon on this ball club, Flower Mound does. That courtesy runner, Chad Paris. Now he can go and motor him. He's got 29 stolen bases on the season. He had a couple of steals yesterday against Pearland.
Wanhanen and Cox were on base 5 times against Pearland in that semifinal.
12 walks and 3 hit batters. The remarkable thing about that game is that they scored 8 runs in an 8-1 victory against the Oilers yesterday. They didn't have a single extra base hit.
Yeah, whatever it takes, if it's not necessary. Maybe they saved him up for today.
Brookover having trouble finding the strike zone. Of course, Cox has shown bunt. Makes him throw a strike. Cox choking up on the bat. Now he squares around. Out in front of home plate, Leone making the play. The sacrifice moves Wanhanen over to second base.
Yeah, nice job by the catcher, Leighton Leone. That's a tough play to make as we take a look at your defense, brought to you by State Farm.
Brookover on the mound, Leone behind the plate. That's the battery. Right side, Seltzer and Brooks. Left side, Sosa and Garza. Bourmet, the freshman. Warhorst in center, and Morrow out in right. Defense brought to you by State Farm. Mitch Andrews, catcher. Runner in scoring position for the Jaguars. Beautiful breaking pitch. Well, the scouting report on Brookover doesn't throw it very hard, doesn't get it into the 90s, but command and control, location very important for him, as was his teammate Montemayor yesterday. He can throw all those pitches for strikes too.
Even though neither one of these teams have won a state championship in baseball, of note, Flower Mound, the school's been in existence for 14 years, and they've made the postseason all 14 seasons in baseball.
Reagan hadn't been around much longer either. But here they are playing for the state championship in 2014. This is the first time for Reagan in this game. And it's through on the left side. They're going to wave the runner. Juan Hannon will score. Good start for Flower Mound.
And that's how they got started yesterday. They like to get their pitchers some run support early on. Had a big first inning against Pearland. They're off to a good start today. Mitch Andrews hit that ball where it was pitched, just lasered it down that left side in between the third baseman and shortstop. And good base running right there from Juan Hannon as he scores easily.
And they're going to bring in their courtesy runner, Chad Paris, over at first base. Time is called.
Yeah, good opportunity to mention the courtesy runners come in for catchers and pitchers in high school baseball. Everyone else is the traditional pinch runner. Speeds the game up.
Something over down the third baseline. Third base umpire James Jones signaled time. So the first pitch here to Sean Weimer. Low, Paris right on cue. 30 stolen bases now this year.
Yeah, when Paris comes into the game, there's no question what he's about to do. And he's going to at least attempt to steal a base. And as you've said, 30 stolen bases this year. I mean, that's an impressive statistic.
30 out of 35 in the stolen base department.
This is their 47th game as a team, and he's got a good average of stolen bases.
Weimer takes a strike. Yesterday against Pearland, Flower Mound scored 2 runs in the first inning. And so far they're off to a nice start in this first inning, in the bottom of the first. Set up with the walk, sacrifice bunt, base hit, and Speed scoring from second base. Leone's having a workout behind the plate early on.
He is. Flower Mound coming out of Region 1, Reagan out of Region 4. A lot of dominance in Region 4 has come from that Corpus Christi area in recent years, with Carroll High School.
Before Moody dropped down to 4A. We were always here at the 5A level.
Oh yeah, Moody Magic.
I'm sure you can work in a story about the Moody Magic throughout this telecast.
I'll work it in. I've got some good ones.
Some rabid fans, Corpus Christi Moody.
Even when there's 2 outs, they still believe they're going to win. No question about it.
Brookover trying to find the strike zone. 2 walks in this inning. Flower Mound has got to feel fortunate in these 2 ball games with the control problems Pearland had yesterday, and so far Brookover with 2 walks in this first inning.
Well, and I asked both coaches, Danny Wallace with Flower Mound and also Chance Chapman of Reagan, what do you, as far as considering when you would go to your bullpen? And, well, Wallace said he would go to his bullpen right away if necessary, as he feels like he's got the horses to do it. But Chapman said, no, we're going to stick with our starter today. It's his game, so we'll see. Brookover has got to find the plate here, a couple of walks.
Big competitor for Ben Brookover. He's pitched in a lot of big games before the injury this year. Like you said, he was a player on the varsity from very early on. That's in for first pitch strike to Tim Millard, a third baseman.
I wouldn't even rule out Troy Montemayor, the pitcher who pitched yesterday, as a possible entry maybe late in the game. In 2 different series this year, Montemayor has picked up victories twice, coming out of the bullpen the second time with a start.
You would be asking a lot of Montemayor, though, because he did throw 118 pitches against Atascocita yesterday.
Yeah, that would be a tall order. This isn't softball.
Look back in the 1-1. Up the middle. Paris with great speed is going to score easily, and going from first to third is Weimer. Millard, the RBI single, and Flower Mound jumps up to a 2-0 lead.
They're very aggressive at the plate, but disciplined when they need to be. They'll work the walks, but when they get the ball down the middle, watch out. Tim Millard, nice piece of hitting. Frozen rope to center.
Paris, pretty pumped about that. Now, Chance Chapman go out and have a meeting on the mound.
Worth noting, Atascocita led Reagan 3-0 in the 5th inning in the semifinals before San Antonio Reagan bursted for 4 runs and then added 1 in the 6th.
Yeah, there was 3-0 Atascocita. Reagan took the lead 4-3. Atascocita tied the game. And then Reagan scored with that key double down the left field line. New pitcher will have the rest of the bottom of the first right after this. The 2014 UIL Baseball State Championship game is brought to you by Texas Ford. There's a reason why Ford is the best in Texas. Stop by your Ford dealer and drive one. By DQ, the Texas stop sign for the best treats and eats and drinks in Texas. Stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state. New pitcher for San Antonio Reagan.
Yeah, Trent Yeglick is on the mound now, so Ben Brookover only 1/3 of an inning. That's not the start you want for Chance Chapman. Thought he was going to stick with Brookover a little bit longer, but no time to waste. Flower Mound already with 2 on the board. The 2 walks, critical, couple of singles. Yeglick is 3-0 as a starting pitcher, a lefty. Warming up here in the stretch with runners on base. Some pitchers like pitching out of the stretch when they come on, even with no one on base.
Sometimes you go from the full wind.
Chance just trying to settle his team down right now. No harm, no foul, 2-0. Could blossom though. You want to put it into this inning now if you're a Reagan.
Now 2 runs yesterday for the Jaguars, 2 runs here today in the first inning. It's warm. Yeglick.
Yeah, not as much of a breeze today, kind of blowing right to left from right field.
Yeah, wind's coming from the south about 10, 13 miles an hour. And the first opportunity, he goes over to first base. So if you're Seth Jordan, got to feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, and Jordan, he'll feed off this lead too. That's what we saw with Kyle Johnston in his 7 innings of work. Had that early lead, made it work.
There's Noah Hill at the plate. Your favorite nickname for him? It's what his teammates call him, Dirt.
Love it. That's a great nickname for a baseball player. You're going to get dirty. Might as well have a nickname like Dirt.
His uniform never clean at the end.
You know, I'm big fans of Craig Biggio. Always had the tar on his helmet, and you know, just dirty uniform. I don't even look like he didn't wash it half the time, but.
And remember, he played on carpet for most of his career.
That's true.
So he really was a gamer.
People forget he started off as catcher. They wanted to make sure he'd be around for a while. Had to get him from behind the plate out into the infield.
There's the pitch from Yeglik. And it is fouled.
It's a good changeup right there. His job right now is to produce some outs. More importantly, throw strikes. That's kind of been the theme of the state tournament this year. We have been at some games with some walks.
And you got to think that a lot of that has to do with some jitters, especially early in the ball game.
And I don't think these guys have pitched on a better mound. I mean, what more do you want? This is a professional mound, AAA level. Of course, Round Rock Express play here at the Dell Diamond.
It's all in the head, Jeff. Up the third base line, the flip, not in time. Garza with the flip out of his glove. That was a great play.
That's got to be a single, and that's just a tough break if you're Reagan. That's the right idea. That's the play you want to make.
He just flipped it with his glove.
Yeah, it's hard to shovel. You can't get any velocity on the ball when you're shoveling it out of your glove. Gloves nowadays, especially for a third baseman, might have had a little trouble just getting it out of the webbing. Kind of stuck that one extra rollover.
Good job by Weimer, hustling down the third base line. Hill the RBI. Sloma lifts it high, and this will be a foul ball. Not a lot of foul territory at Dell Diamond. Down the right field and left field lines. Stands jet out. We have about 10 feet at the most.
Yeah, 315 down the lines, 375 in the power alleys. In fact, it's 407 to deep right center. Then you've got the green monster out in center field, over 400 feet away in dead center. Not quite the height that you see at Fenway Park, but some ball players have hit that roof.
0-2 the count to Ryan Sloma, the designated hitter. So 3 runs very early for Flower Mound here in the bottom of the first.
That pressure baseball that Flower Mound plays will force mistakes.
Goes after it. And Leone can call a foul ball. Actually, he's out on the strikeout. Beg your pardon.
With a runner on first.
Yes.
So 2 outs. If you're Yeglik, there's a force in any bag behind you. Again, throwing strikes is the key, and he's been able to do that so far.
Casey Jacobson, so 2 away. First and second. And this is the 8th man to bat in this inning. Brookover started the game. He lasted only 5 batters. Now it's Yeglig on in relief here in the first.
Leone getting a workout behind the plate here in the first inning.
And it's no fun when it's really warm down there, that catcher's gear. Hit to Garza. Around They only needed 1 out.
They had 4 outs that inning.
There you go. Well, 3 runs for Flower Mound. They have a 3-0 lead after 1. Jaguars 3 runs in the bottom of the first. Now San Antonio Reagan going to try to answer here in the top of the second against Seth Jordan.
And the Reagan Rattlers need to answer in this inning. It's so important when you have the opposing team picking up some early runs. You want to make sure you match them.
Defense brought to you by State Farm and Flower Mound with Jordan and Andrews as the battery. Weimer Hill on the right side, Jacobson and Millard on the left. Cox, Swanhannon, and Hanna out there from left to right. Defense brought to you by State Farm. First pitch, beautiful breaking ball. Drew Brooks, the second baseman, leading it off. Oh, 0-2.
Now you want to be patient on the plate. That was a really long inning. You want to give Yeglick a little time to relax there in the dugout now. Although he didn't pitch all of that first inning. Brookover coming out after just a third of an inning. Those 3 runs charged to him.
And into right, and it'll fall. That's the first hit for the Reagan Rattlers as Brooks to lead it off.
Yeah, Drew Brooks, that's how you get it started right there. 1 station at a time. Drew Brooks takes this pitch that was on the outside part of the plate and pulled it. Usually you want to take that one to left field and just go with the pitch, but he was able to muscle it out towards right.
There's Cade Bourmet. Bourmet against Seth Jordan. Evens the count, 1-1.
Bourmet had a pair of singles yesterday, really one of the catalysts for this Reagan Rattler team.
Scored the game-winning run on the double by Warhorst against Atascocita. Lifts this one into center. Swanhannon. Not many are going to drop out in center field when Swanhannon is out there.
Yeah, he is a star out there in center field. We've seen some fantastic plays in center field the last few days. Congratulations to the Aledo Bearcats. They won the state championship, but their center fielder made some serious plays in the outfield.
Aledo winning last night here at the Dell Diamond, 4-0 over Victoria East.
Yeah, it's Wade Rayburn was in center field for Aledo. They've now won 5 championships this school year. Not too many teams can say they've done that. Won it in football, baseball, softball, swimming and diving. I think they had an individual title in tennis, I believe, or golf. So
Andres
what a year.
Sosa, the sophomore shortstop. Came in on the hands, popped it up in foul territory. Millard reaches over. I think he had some help with some teammates right there.
They just kind of rolled out the red carpet for him, didn't they? Here it comes. That's what you're supposed to do. Help your teammate out. This ball was just sky high. And you might have noticed Brooks was running on the play, had a big jump.
Good
Nicely
concentration. Good concentration by Millard.
That's a tough play.
And you know, right here at Dell Diamond, plenty of foul territory in between the bases, not so much down the right field and left field lines, and so probably more foul territory than they're used to playing in their high school fields. Leighton Leone takes a first pitch strike, and this one misses for a ball.
I'd be looking for Drew Brooks to be on the move here. Want to get him in scoring position, down 3-0 with 2 outs.
Brooks leadoff single. He's still at first. Off speed, and Pat Leone wailing at that one.
This Reagan team only has 3 home runs this season. They definitely play the small ball, pressure ball, whatever you want to call it, style of play. Augie ball if you're here in Austin.
That's later today. Game 2 of the Super Regional. The 2-2.
And not only did Danny Wallace play obviously at the University of Texas, he was under Cliff Gustafson, but Pearland's head coach as well was part of the University of Houston's 2002 team and won the first game of that 3-game Super Regional.
That's going to be fielded by the shortstop Jacobson. The flip to Noah, force out of Brooks. Jaguars still up 3-0.
And here in Texas, we obviously a little bit.
Hey, welcome back to the sports capital of Texas, and of course, live music as well. Round Rock known for their live music. The Seeker Band here getting a chance to play some music here on Main Street, Round Rock, Texas. Yeah, there you go. You can see Texas from the moon, and you can see Texas from the moon here at the Dell Diamond, I believe.
Flower Mound leading 3-0 over San Antonio Reagan. Jamison Hanna. Both these schools well represented, but they're just hiding a lot of them under the shade today.
That sun will bake you. Those green seats can get pretty warm. So, plus there's a breeze that blows through on those upper seats. The concourse area.
Yeglig
little wind tunnel.
starts off Hanna with a first pitch strike to begin the bottom of the second. Lefty versus lefty, and right there looks like Yeglig got the better of that on that swing.
I've been amazed here at the state tournament how many left-handed pitchers we've seen.
Well, if you can throw strikes and you're left-handed, you have an opportunity. Down the left field line. That ball was up and outside the strike zone, and Hanna is going to turn this into a sliding double. This pitch was just up and over around his shoulders.
Yeah, Hanna pulled out the hammer on that one as he drove this ball just over that left, right over the third baseman's glove.
You can see Leone was going up to make the catch on that pitch. Wow. Bad ball hitter Hanna out of the number 9 spot, getting out of the box. And he had 22 in his sights all the way.
And I think Andrew Garza, that was about as high as I've seen anyone jump over at third base.
Juan Hannon takes a strike. Juan Hannon got the party started in the first inning for Flower Mound, a walk, and then eventually coming home on Mitch Andrews' RBI single to left field.
And so far, the Rattlers of Reagan haven't been invited to this party. 3-0. The Jaguars pouncing on the Rattlers.
3 runs on 3 hits in the inning plus. Juan Hannon pull the bunt back.
Usually in Class 5A, the Houston area team, especially out of Region 3 and sometimes Region 2, have had a lot of success here through the years. Don't see too many champions out of Region 1 and Region 4 outside of Carroll and Moody.
Jaguars aren't going to murder the ball. They've only hit 14 home runs this year. Very opportunistic, though, as we saw in the first. Into right, Juan Hannon. And the stop sign goes up. Hannon stops at third base.
Juan Hannon is a ball player. Plays great center field. Had a walk in the first, now a single here, coming off a pair of hits in the semifinals. He's just an all-around great player. Look at that piece of hitting there. Kept that bat head right over the center of the plate. Drove it into right. It's a good shot of the Flower Mound dugout.
Yeglig's got runners on the corners. There's nobody out here in the bottom of the second inning. Skylar Cox. Toss over to first base. Cox, a player that was called up from the JV midway through the season, entered him into the #2 spot for Flower Mound, and he has really flourished. Jaguars started out really well this year, struggled a little bit, then they came on in the postseason.
33-12, 4 ties. A lot of times teams get ties in these tournaments where they're basically timed games. Got to be done by a certain time.
There's a strike and a steal of second base by Juan Hannon. No throw from the catcher.
You know, Gerald, this is looking eerily similar to yesterday's game, the way Flower Mound just takes advantage of every situation. If you walk, if there's an error, they will make you pay.
Mark of a state championship ball club right there.
Absolutely. In this case, they're just hitting the ball hard this inning, a double and a single.
Skylar Cox. Infield is in for Reagan.
Yeah, I don't think you have any choice. 3-0 already, a pretty big deficit, especially the way Seth Jordan has looked early on.
That double by Hanna to start the inning was the first extra base hit in this tournament. With the 8 runs and 9 hits yesterday against Pearland, all of them were just singles.
Tony Holland, the umpire behind the plate. Usually early parts of the game, pitchers trying to figure out exactly where they can nibble on those corners. But right now it's time to throw strikes, and this is a hitter's count right here, 3-1.
Cannot get it over. The bases are loaded.
I feel like we heard this ball 4 chant from Flower Mound quite a few times yesterday.
3 walks in the game.
Already 3 today.
Yeah. 2 in the first, and here with Cox to load the bases.
There might be another pitching move now. At least a discussion. Well, no one's up in the bullpen yet, so I think Chance Chapman wants to just come out and talk things over. When you get in a situation like this with nobody out, you probably will go ahead and allow a run to score if you can turn a double play so you can avoid the big inning.
Connor Hefferon going over to the right field bullpen.
Yeah, so a switch here. Imagine the third baseman, the first baseman will come in. They'll try to make a play at home if it's there's an opportunity there. Otherwise, double play depth for the second baseman and shortstop.
Left-hander loosening in the bullpen. Christian Nichols for San Antonio Reagan.
Another 3-0 pitcher. Another lefty.
So they're going to get a lefty and a righty up in the bullpen. Nichols and Heffron. Because there is no tomorrow, you've got to keep it close.
Pivotal part of the game already. I mean, second inning, this game could get out of hand real quick.
Andrews drove in the game's first run. Drove in Wanahan, who's now at third base.
But
Want to know,
as
Wanahan, beg your pardon, at second base. Hannah is at third and Cox over at first.
As we saw yesterday, Reagan offensively looked pretty flat for the first 3 or 4 innings, and they were able to muster up a 4-run fifth. And now they got to keep this game close.
Popped up. Is there going to be a play? Nope. And everybody's going to be safe. The opportunities are there for the Flower Mound Jaguars.
Had the second baseman been playing back for double play depth, he would have easily made that catch, but instead they had the entire infield brought in close to try to make a play at the plate, and that's what will happen sometimes. What could have been a routine catch for the second base. Look how close he is, Gerald. He's on the grass. He has to turn around and just go full sprint, and it lands in an area where he might have been able to make that catch had he been back in double play depth.
So it is Andrews with the RBI single, bringing home Hannah, and everybody moves up 90 feet. Wanahan and Cox. Paris now at first. The courtesy runner and a foul ball. That's Sean Weimer.
Paris was just looking down to second saying, oh man, I can't get a stolen base. There's a man on base over there. That's a weapon. To have a courtesy runner who just, he comes in a lot. 2 or 3 times a game. I'm a baseball coach. I'm hanging out in that track locker room trying to find me a courtesy runner.
Very good point. Leone sets away, tries to frame the outer half of the plate, misses.
And that's the catcher's job. I like the gear he's wearing. It has kind of a bullseye look to it, but unfortunately, Trent Yeglick having some trouble finding that bullseye.
Yeglick would love a strikeout right here. And he gets it.
There you go. A little off-speed pitch right there. It's deceiving coming from a lefty. He does a pretty good job of kind of hiding that ball.
Yeglick's second strikeout. Tim Millard, third baseman. Flower Mound last year had the best record in their school history, had an undefeated record in district play. The first time they did that in their school history too. 30-3 last year, district champions. They were flying high into the playoffs, and then they lose to LD Bell in the first round. And that loss in the first round kept them motivated all season long. Who do they play in the first round? Again,
LD Bell.
and they lose the first game. And they lose it by a run, 3-2. They had a 2-0 lead and then 3 runs in the 7th inning.
So they had to get over that hump. They had to get over that mental roadblock of thinking, wow, here we go again, another wasted good season. And then they were able to bounce back and win those next 2 games this time around.
So today's starting pitcher, Seth Jordan, throws a great game and has a shutout of 1-0 to force a game 3. They win 2-1 that game 3. get that monkey off their back, and then they go on. And here they are playing for a state championship. But that loss last year in the playoffs really motivated them.
Yeah, they've been taken to the brink at least 3 times in the postseason, where they had to beat Hearst Bell 2 out of 3. They lost 1 to Grand Prairie, or South Grand Prairie, lost 1 to South Lake Carroll before coming back to win those series. Ben Leeper, the pitcher for South Lake Carroll, got hurt against San Angelo Central just before that series and couldn't go, and he was one of the top pitchers in the state.
Millard with an RBI single, 1 for 1, and he gets it past the diving third baseman Garza into left field. This is going to bring home 2. Juan Hannon and Cox score. And it is starting to look more and more like Flower Mound early on.
I tell you, Flower Mound has been putting the ball perfectly in the holes. I almost feel sorry for Reagan, because it just seems like their gloves are just a couple of inches away from the ball, and yet you look up at the scoreboard and it's 6-0.
So that double barrel action out of the bullpen. Noah Hill, second baseman, fouls it back.
But Flower Mound, they will make you pay. They're like a shark. You know, they smell blood and they just go. They've been able to put up a pair of 3s in the first 2 innings. It's the ability to turn that 1 run into multiple runs that produces champions.
Play at second. Getting back in there safely is Paris.
A lot of moving around by the Reagan defense. Kind of had a first baseman breaking in towards home and second baseman trying to cover first. There was a lot of space open.
3 in the first and now 3 in the second for Flower Mound.
Got to shake things up a little bit. Everywhere they've been, the ball has been going just away from them. So get some movement going.
Hill hits a breaking pitch and skies it foul down the right field line. What a nice ballpark this is. Dell Diamond.
Yeah, home of the Round Rock Express. They've been here since 2000. Officially made the move in '99, but started playing in 2000. And it's been the home of the UIL since 2001. Of course, UFCU Dish Falk Field, the site for Class 3A championships the last few years. Saw College Station win over there the other day. Good win for them.
That's a new school, too.
They looked impressive. Another team that can beat you in so many different ways. Aggressive on the base paths. They play that pressure ball also. Beat Argyle.
Yegluk just really struggling right now. See the amount of pitches that he has thrown. He entered the game with 1 out in the first. Ben Brookover, it was not his day. We mentioned that Flower Mound has played several elimination games, 3 elimination games in the playoffs before getting to the state tournament. And in the state tournament, you don't get the opportunity to play a best of 3. It's semifinal, win or go home, and then the final, win or go home. And so when you have that experience of do or die, it makes a big difference. Runner goes. Well, in fact, both of them were on the move, and it was fouled off. And poor little guy over there.
And you know, Danny Wallace, the head coach of Flower Mound, was telling me he feels like he's in good shape. He's got great pitchers and, you know, 3 that he could really go to at any point. And I think coming into this game, he felt better about where he sat with his pitching staff than maybe Chance Chapman did. it's important to get those long outings by your starting pitchers. It pays off in the playoffs to get a good complete game here and there.
Not in time again.
The job that Kyle Johnston did for Flower Mound, 7 innings pitched, 1 run, 4 hits, 3 Ks against Pearland. He's headed to the University of Texas, hits the mid-90s. He was very impressive. Good control. Hey, throw strikes, that's the key.
Matt Johnson, with the 87 pitches, just extremely economical because it was hot out there.
He was like a hybrid.
Runners go, and that's another stolen base. Harris, and then also Millard with the stolen base.
Yeah, that's Flower Mound. They're aggressive, up 6-0. Double steal put in place. I think that kind of caught Yeglick by surprise. But it's early, and it's high school baseball.
Once again, the infield comes in.
May have to bring up one of those Moody Magic stories here pretty soon, Gerald.
One that they were down almost.
I think they were down
double
10
digits.
runs. Just got off the air working at KZTV in Corpus Christi. I think they were playing Cal Allen, and I went over there just to see if they could make a comeback, and sure enough, they did in the last inning. Won the game over at Cabinets Field. Great tradition. That's a great rivalry, too. Cal Allen and Moody. Love their baseball down in the Coastal Bend.
Into center. With 1 out, Paris is going to tag, and he'll score easily. With run number 7 for Flower Mound. Put the ball in play, and Hill did exactly that.
Flower Mound has been impressive. All of their base hits seem to be finding the holes. That was a replay from earlier in the game, but here is the scoring. Nicely done. No need to sprint all out there.
Flower Mound sent 8 men to the plate in the first. They have now sent 8 men to the plate in the second inning.
It was Chad Paris that scored there, number 20. He's touched home plate quite a few times this year as that courtesy runner.
Ryan Sloma. Fielded by the shortstop Sosa. Flower Mound adds 4 more runs. Impressive. With 4 hits in this second inning. 7-0 Jaguars. Well, in order for the Jaguars to get here, they had to go through LD Bell, South Grand Prairie, Mansfield, tough 3-game series with Southway Carroll, Louisville Marcus, and then the state semifinal yesterday, 8-1 win over Pearland. For the Reagan Rattlers, you can see they had also some easy success. Atascocita, though, that was a great comeback win, trailing 3-0 yesterday. Tied the game at 4, and then they eventually won 5-4. So Seth Jordan who pitched that great game in Game 2 to keep the Jaguars season alive in the by-district round against LD Bell, is now here staked to a 7-run lead as we start play in the top of the third. Brian Warhorse, center fielder.
One pitch at a time here for San Antonio Reagan.
Fielded by the shortstop, Jacobson. What a play. That ball was hit hard.
Yeah, the fundamentals, that's what they're all about. Jacobson making it look easy, just kind of took that hop like it was no big deal. One hopper. Oh yeah, hello. Popcorn, anybody? Nicely done. Incidentally, the most state tournament appearances, 7 for any one particular school, but several teams own that distinction. Corpus Christi Carroll, Arlington Heights, Gunter, Jasper, Palmer, Sinton, Pleasant Grove, Weimer, and Windthorst. As far as getting to the Final Four.
Celsor. Jay Celsor at the plate. It wasn't until 1981 that the 5A level started. Before then, it was always 4A. Oh, beautiful. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
School you're very familiar with, Houston Bel Air, 7 state championships. Dating back to 1960. Remember Ray Knobloch over there, Chuck Knobloch's father?
They haven't won one since 1999. And they haven't been to the state tournament since 2008. On the outer half of the plate. Celsor is going to go back to the dugout.
One team from San Antonio that's had a lot of success here back in the 50s and 60s was South San Antonio. 7 championships in 4A. Brenham also with 7, another powerhouse.
Cliff Gustafson was the head coach of San Antonio South San back in the 60s. Zach Morrow makes a ball.
Coach Gus always wore that hat up nice and high. That was the style back then for the Caps. Think back some of those Longhorn players. Brooks Kieschnick from Corpus Christi Carroll. Played up for the University of Texas, Hunter Gustafson.
Breaking ball hit. Hill. 1, 2, 3. Jordan looks pretty good out there. Middle of the third. Jaguars in control of this one. Enjoying themselves here at the state tournament on a Saturday afternoon in Round Rock at Dell Diamond. 2000 first year, 15 years.
Seems like just yesterday when this opened. I remember
15 seasons, I should say. And you know, the team that came to Round Rock came from Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes, that's true.
Jackson Generals.
There you go.
Before that, they were the Jackson Mets.
I think Lance Berkman played on that team because I remember he was over at Dishfalk Field and a little scrimmage they played before they officially moved to the Dell Diamond.
First pitch to Casey Jacobson. A strike as Trent Yeglick is now in his third inning of work. Gone in relief of Ben Brookover. Berkman was in the early part of the 2000 season, was here at Round Rock. Didn't stay here very long though.
Coach is over at Second Baptist now. Volunteer coach, has 4 daughters that go to school there. Roy Oswalt was the first Express pitcher that I interviewed. He turned out all right too, didn't he? I think we were still calling him Oswalt back then.
Yeah, that's right.
Now he's the Wizard of Oz, of course, and had a great career. He could bring the heat.
Jacobson, a fielder's choice, his first time up. Yeglick taking his time. "33 wins and 12 losses, also a tie for Flower Mound. They had those losses in the middle part of the season. Danny Wallace in his second season as the coach. And like you said, that was at Georgetown. Also made the state tournament with Hutto.
A couple of good Central Texas baseball teams there.
2-2. It was a walk-on back in 1986 by Cliff Gustafson over at Texas. And if things hold true to form, he will win his first state championship as a high school head baseball coach.
He's got a great team.
They play very well. We said before we got on the air, fundamentally sound.
Absolutely.
They can do the little things. They can move runners over. They take the extra 90 feet.
Their defense has been stellar here at the state tournament and really all season long.
Juan Hannon made a couple of diving catches out in center field yesterday against the Pearland Oilers. And they were very opportunistic too. Those 12 walks, 3 hit batters, they, like you said, just they take advantage of the situation.
And Danny Wallace was telling me, once they give their pitcher a lead, they feel good about themselves. And you can see that confidence coming out.
That will hit the bag at third. It's a fair ball. Everything's going right for Flower Mound here today.
Man, Reagan cannot catch a break. Ball hits the bag and goes straight up in the air. What are you going to do? Obviously a hit. You don't see this very often. A lot of times it'll just roll right over the bag. But look at that, straight up in the air.
Garza, I think, was expecting that one to get into his glove, and then it hit the bag.
Rattlers got to get out of this little bad luck here. They've still pretty early in the game as we play here in the bottom of the third, but of course in high school baseball, 7-inning games, kind of running out of time here, down 7-0.
Yeah, and also you have to take into consideration the 10-run rule. You don't get that opportunity past the 5th inning. Wave and a miss with Hannah.
We've seen a little bit of everything this year. Sarah Hudek pitching over at George Ranch. Her father, you might know the name, John Hudek, former Astro pitcher, all-star back in the mid-90s, I think 1994. But Sarah was warming up in the bullpen, and we thought she was going to get a chance to pitch in their game against Victoria East. Victoria East won that game. But Sarah had got into some really key games in the postseason, in extra innings and all.
Hit on the right side. Going to try to flip 2, but they'll only get 1. First out of the inning.
And we've talked about this a little bit. I mean, it's not uncommon to see maybe a field goal kicker playing that position in the football, but as we see almost an opportunity here for a double play, but not quite. Ball hit a little bit too slow. But the two sports that the UIL will allow females to participate with males, football and baseball. And Sarah will tell you, hey, I tried softball. I didn't like it. I want to play baseball.
Gonna throw the ball overhand, not underhand, right?
I mean, she told us that she, would be running around the Astrodome and having fun watching her dad. She just grew up around baseball. Why change? I mean,
And she can bring it pretty well, too.
Oh, yeah, 80 miles per hour. Some good, not only good velocity, she's a lefty. Throws strikes, that's the most important thing.
Here's Juan Hannon again. Oh, he's in the middle of it all, isn't he?
He's trying to pick up some MVP honors. See if he can overcome the jinx, huh? One more note on George Ranch. Their coach, Greg Cubza, actually played on one of Victoria's teams in Victoria ISD back in the 86, I believe, Stroman. And then for him to have to lose to a team from Victoria East, I'm sure that was a little odd for him. It was the first time a team from Victoria ISD had been back to the state tournament since that season back in 86.
Yeah, he was quoted in the Victoria Advocate as saying he was laying at night thinking about the last time a VISD team made it, and he was on that team. The 85 team that won the championship, the 86 team that lost to Bel Air in the semifinal. And then he says, it's kind of spooky because now I'm coaching against them.
That may have got him on the jersey.
Juan Hannon backs off the plate there.
Yeah, I noticed Argyle was sporting some really baggy uniforms, and I'm surprised teams don't go more to that baggy jersey at least to try to pick up that extra half an inch you might get from a jersey when that ball's inside. Remember, you don't have to be hit. If the jersey gets hit, you can go on to first.
Down the right field line. It'll get into the corner. And Hannah is going to stop at third. Boy, Juan Hannon is having a state tournament.
He really is. Back-to-back singles here following up that walk where he scored. Look at the hitting. Just drove this ball down the line. It was inside. Just muscled it right down that first base line.
I would imagine that Coach Schlossnagel will be very happy to have him in Fort Worth next year.
TCU is getting a good one.
So Hannah at third and Juan Hannon at second. After the double.
Juan Hannon had a pair of singles yesterday in that game against Pearland. Also was hit by a pitch. 4 singles and a walk. That's pretty good. Take that.
And Juan Hannon is also a very bright 3. He's in the top 3% of his class. And Flower Mound is a good academic school. So that is really saying something. Yeglick gets a breaking pitch over. Hear the horns here.
Yeah, right on cue. I didn't actually do that, folks. I want you to know that I didn't do that. Getting ready for the World Cup.
Well, the X Games are in town.
Yeah, there you go. Circuit of the Americas hosting a lot of that event. Big racetrack here for Formula One racing. Quite an event.
And he gets him. Strike 3 call.
Yeah, Cox goes down looking there. Kind of froze him. At some point, while that ball's coming in, you either commit or don't commit. And then if you're being fooled by the pitch, usually the best thing to do is to hold off.
Yeglick with his 3rd strikeout of the ball game. He's had one in every inning. He feels like the starting pitcher. And as many pitches as he's thrown, Brookover threw a 1/3 of an inning and gave up 3 runs.
Just a little bit outside there. He's been trying to work that outside part of the plate.
With the strikeout of Cox, that still has runners at 2nd and 3rd. That's a big out. Andrews, who is 2 for 2 with 2 runs batted in, going to try to pick up his teammate.
Talked about the job behind the plate that Leighton Leone has had to do. He's been kind of stopping a lot of balls back there. They've been skipping in. A left-handed pitcher, a lot of times it has a different rotation on it. Sometimes tougher for that catcher to catch the ball once it hits the dirt. And Dell Diamond, of course, with real sand out there, whereas over at UFCU Disch-Falk Field, it's more of an artificial surface that's the color of dirt, except for the mound, of course. The mound is sand. But you see more and more baseball teams going to that. Concordia University here in Austin is also going to that surface.
University of Houston installed their new turf that they have. Players like it.
It's a true surface.
And usually drains well, too.
Yeah, usually no bad hops.
That's got to hurt.
And let's call it what it is. I mean, in the last few years with the droughts that we've been having, it costs a lot of money to keep these fields watered. You don't have to water those artificial surfaces. In fact, I hear that if you water, that's kind of a bad thing. They end up getting a little warmer. You don't really warm them up before the game. But you do want to clean that dust off them occasionally.
Tony Holland giving the hitter Andrews just a little bit extra time on that foul ball. That is no fun. You ever had that happen to you, Jeff?
Yeah, you get dinged up when you play baseball. I mean, those little bruises that you pick up throughout the season, by the time you get to this point of the year, you got little purple dots all over your body. Ankles, shins, wrist.
Foul ball off an instep really hurts. Hit to the shortstop, Sosa. And the Flower Mound is held scoreless here in the third. However, they still lead 7-0 at the end of 3. The 2014 UIL Baseball 5A State Championship game is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. There's a reason why Ford is the best in Texas. Stop by your Ford dealer and drive one. By DQ, the Texas stop sign. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas, stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state. Gerald Sanchez along with Jeff Power from Dell Diamond, the Class 5A State Championship game. Chance Chapman, head coach for the San Antonio Reagan Rattlers. His ball club trails 7-0 to Flower Mound.
Yeah, he's got an experienced coaching staff. Ryan Byer, Reagan Muchigama, and also Rudy Salanese. In fact, Rudy played over at A&M Kingsville, and Reagan played over at St. Mary's in San Antonio. Muchigama.
Coach Mooch, as he's known as.
Mooch, yeah, he spells it M-O-C-Z-Y-G-E-M-B-A. Mooch, we'll go with that.
Coach Mooch played at Smithson Valley. And a neat story about Salinas that we can get into here. As the first pitch misses. Jack Thompson, designated hitter.
Well, there's connections all over baseball. These assistant coaches know each other. Someone knows a father or a brother or maybe an uncle somewhere, and next thing you know, they're on your staff.
Yeah, baseball is a very small game. In fact, the coaching fraternity in Texas is very small. Run into each other with football and basketball and baseball. As those are the fans I was talking about earlier. A lot of them are here, but they're under that shade, that awning that is the overhang here at Dell Diamond.
Yeah, like I said, it has a little wind tunnel in there. A lot of videographers will shoot video from those concourse levels, that wind-aided area, and it's really comfortable in there. You get a good breeze going, kind of a tunneling effect, sort of like a jet stream. You hear them always talking about jet streams in ballparks. It's kind of where they come from, through the concourse levels.
Brookover re-enters the ball game. He was the starting pitcher, and he re-enters as this one is popped up to Hill, 2 away.
They just make everything look so routine. I mean, that's kind of a tough play right there. You got to have good communication, 3 guys converging on it, but rather routine.
Well, like we said, these guys communicate. They play well as a team. They do a lot of the fundamentals well. And one of my favorite sayings, you give them an inch, they take 90 feet.
There you go. It only works in baseball.
Drew Brooks.
And dare I say, let's call it what it is. Reagan has been snake bit in this game. The Rattlers, I mean, no question about it. The balls have just been finding their way right around their gloves. They haven't played that poorly. It's just they have not been the beneficiary of any type of luck whatsoever. And sometimes the way baseball works, it could turn.
Well, you got to give credit to Seth Jordan, just like Kyle Johnston yesterday, their starting pitcher, as Jordan has now set down 8 in a row. He's throwing strikes. He's not messing around. He hadn't walked a batter yet today. In fact, he's only allowed 1 base runner, and that is the man at the plate, Brooks.
Maybe coming up after this break, we'll show you how Reagan was in a similar situation yesterday, trailing Atascocita 3-0, and they had to come back and win it.
9 in a row now, set down by Jordan. That's his 3rd strikeout of the ball game. Flower Mound 7-0. A 7-run lead for Flower Mound in the 5A state championship game. We've got some highlights here from yesterday's game with San Antonio Reagan's win over Atascocita.
Yeah, our point was Humble Atascocita was leading at 3-0, but Reagan didn't panic. In the 5th inning, they scored 4 runs. Here was the big rally getting started, and then they scored another run in the 6th inning, and they went on to win it 5-4. They only had 7 hits, but they put that one big crooked number up in the key spot there in the 5th inning, and that was the difference. They came back and won that game 5-4. Can they do it today? They're down 7-0, but you've got to have that mindset of eventually the bad luck is going to turn your way, and you're going to get some good luck. We'll see.
Sean Weimer to lead it off, and the first pitch is hit on 1 hop to Sosa. 1 pitch and 1 out in the bottom of the 4th inning. New pitcher for Reagan. And as we see Weimer going back, Sosa there. New pitcher for San Antonio Reagan is Connor Heffron, a sophomore, a record of 4-1. Heffron appeared as a courtesy runner in yesterday's game, and he scored. He was the runner for the catcher, Leighton Leone.
Another lefty. And sometimes you'll have a pitcher that'll come in. Maybe he can bring some momentum towards their team. Give them a little fire. Get a 1-2-3 inning. Get back up there to the plate and start trying to make something happen. They've got three more at bats after this. It's time. And that all-important 5th inning is their next at bat. That's where they did it yesterday.
Third pitcher to be used by Chance Chapman. He follows Ben Brookover and Trent Yeglick.
But you know, Gerald, it all starts with throwing strikes. I mean, there's a certain confidence. When you're out there in the outfield and your pitcher's having a tough time throwing strikes, you kind of get a little lazy feeling out there. But when he's throwing strikes, you're up on your toes feeling good.
He works quickly, and he's had 2 quick outs.
I already feel the shift. Sometimes that's what it takes. You bring in a new pitcher, see if you can't shift that momentum your way.
2 quick outs in the bottom of the 4th. In fact, this is the first inning that they, talking about Flower Mound, did not have a leadoff man on.
There's the sound of a rattler. Followed by a sound of a jaguar. Noisemakers are in this year.
B.J. Myers, we saw him just moments ago warming up in the bullpen.
Yeah, another West Virginia product, or headed to West Virginia, I should say. Will be a product soon.
Myers, along with Jordan and Johnston, part of that 3-headed monster. That is the pitching staff, the starting pitching staff for Flower Mound.
I think the way Seth Jordan has pitched, though, I wouldn't touch a thing.
He's retired 9 in a row. But I'm sure he wants to get right back on the bump again. A 7-run lead. All right, boys, I'm ready to go. Heffron.
And the key here for Heffron is he's throwing strikes. And he's working quick. I like a pitcher who works fast. Kind of fires everybody up. Everybody on that Reagan dugout up on the top step now.
Just missed.
They've pretty much been there all game, but they just seem a little bit more like they're starting to feel like, okay, we've endured a lot here. Let's see if we can't change things up.
Payoff will come again.
You know, school officially out now for all the kids. It's got that summer feel to it. I always feel the state tournament is kind of the beginning of the summer. But not uncommon for teams to put up some crooked numbers.
Full count to Noah Hill, low. And it is a walk.
Oh, that hurt.
4th walk given up by Reagan Radler pitching. Hill having a chat with first baseman. That's Brookover, who is now at first base. Brookover re-entered the game after the starting pitcher, so Seltzer got an at bat. Now Brookover now at first. Rattler fans still knows they've got some time on their side, but they need a shutdown inning. They had a shutdown inning in the 3rd. They had base runners, though.
It's still a little bit breezy, but that breeze feels good. I'm sure no one out there, even in the field, would want it to be completely no breeze at all. But the sun will wear on you here. We're banging on 90 here at 1 o'clock.
Under the 3rd baseman, Garza's glove down the left field line. It'll get into the corner, and they're going to wave the runner. Hill, the throw, not in time. Ryan Sloma.
Got to make that play over there at 3rd. You're starting to feel that maybe momentum starting to come back your way, and then that's one of those plays you have to make. Ball was driven right over the bag. Trying to kind of backhand it. Ball just sort of got underneath his glove. That's Andrew Garza over there.
8-run lead. And Hill wasn't stopping. He was going all the way and head first slide.
But he could have made a play right there. Just had to catch the ball first. Eric Gion running now at second.
Jacobson, the hitter. Gion is running for Ryan Sloma with the RBI double. Jacobson, last time up, led off the third inning with a hit, 1 for 2.
Flower Mound with 8 runs and 9 hits. They've just been very productive.
So they scored 8 runs yesterday against Pearland as the bullpen door has opened in left center field.
It's a sign.
And 8 runs today against San Antonio Reagan.
Yeah,
very impressed. We
Yeah,
were
I was
very
just gonna
impressed
say.
after we saw them play against Pearland.
They have showed up at the state tournament. I like to kind of refer to it as the Final Four, because if you think about it, the whole playoffs really is the state tournament. But here at the Dell Diamond, and of course over at UFCU Disch-Falk Field, kind of the Final Four of the classifications. Been playing since early in the week. Had the 1A and 2A championships early in the week.
Off the glove of Sosa. That was just off his glove, and Jacobson's going to get an RBI single, bringing home Gion.
Story of the game. Look at those last 2 hits. I mean, an inch from being in a glove and the final out of the inning. Instead, gets through. Now it's 9-0. This ball, I mean, it's a laser. It's a tough play to make. I mean, that's obviously that's going to be a hard catch to make for Andres Sosa. But Andres, he knows, hey, if you can get that close to it, somehow find it. Find that extra inch to get it. Flower Mound fans feeling pretty good right now. It's a tough district that they play in too. Flower Mound, known for good baseball up there with Hebron and Denton Ryan, Coppell, Marcus.
Simonkiewicz is the hitter. He is pinch hitting for Jamison Hanna. Stefan Simonkiewicz.
Also Louisville, those Fighting Farmers. But this is time to put this inning to bed if you're if you're the Rattlers.
Well, it looked promising
It
with
did.
Heffron throwing strikes and getting 2 quick outs, but then a walk, an RBI double, and an RBI single, adding 2 more here in the 4th inning.
I'm telling you, it was that walk. That walk just kind of, you know, I think everyone just sort of had that look of, oh, here we go again. Just when we thought we had a little something going here.
Yeah, with 3-2 count, Hill battled up there and worked it for a walk. And then Sloma with the RBI double.
Baseball's a funny game like that. I can't think of another sport where mistakes will just absolutely kill you in this sport more than any other sport. The errors, the walks.
Past first base coach Jesse Cisneros.
And it's usually those leadoff walks that'll really hurt. But if you're the Rattlers, somehow you need to stay focused and realize.
Yeah, with Weimer being retired here in this 4th inning to lead off the inning, that was the first time that they had retired the leadoff man in the ballgame, San Antonio Reagan. But then, 2-out walk and 2 more runs. It's now 9-0. In on the infield, Drew Brooks battling the sun, makes the play, and that's out number 3 in the bottom of the 4th. But 2 more runs on 2 hits, and Flower Mound now leads 9-0 at the end of 4. 2014 UIL Baseball State Championships here from Dell Diamond. Gerald Sanchez along with Jeff Power. We now move to the 5th with Flower Mound in control, leading 9-0.
Well, and also if Reagan wants to keep this game going, they need to score a run here. You don't want to go to the bottom of the 5th in a 9-0 game, because basically Flower Mound could end it with 1 run. Once you get to the 5th inning, that 10-run rule comes into effect.
Cade Bormett swings at the first pitch into shallow left, and it is Cox, and they say he made the play.
There's your difference right there. I mean, it just seems like Flower Mound's making the plays and Reagan's coming up an inch short from making the plays. That's just kind of been the difference in the game. And I know it's been a little bit more than that with a 9-0 game, but really when it comes down to it, it's a game of inches, and Flower Mound's taking advantage of their opportunities. But look at this catch. Cox out there just diving down. I got this, no problem. Shows it to the umpire. That looked legit too. A little pitching change going on here for Flower Mound.
Looks like they're going to bring in B.J. Myers.
Stick with that West Virginia connection.
Seth Jordan finishes the game on it, retiring 10 men in a row. New pitcher for the Flower Mound Jaguars, B.J. Myers, making his 20th appearance of the season, a record of 10-2. He's been outstanding this year, 1.35 ERA, and it will probably be up to him to finish this thing off, as Seth Jordan, the left-hander, in line for the win. He went the required 4 innings, and he finished on a 10-men retired streak. And he finished that, and he finished very strong. He was throwing strikes, but I think that maybe Danny Wallace wants to get B.J. Myers, who has been very instrumental in their season, get him some action out there.
Yeah, what an effort here for Seth Jordan. As you mentioned, the last 10 batters retired, no runs, a hit. That's a great performance in the state championship game. Watch the slider, by the way, here with B.J. Myers. Check this out. Got some heat, too, huh? Also headed to West Virginia.
Andres Sosa, the batter.
Got a chance to meet Oliver Luck at the Texas High School Athletic Directors Association meetings down in Houston earlier this year. And West Virginia AD.
Right to the third baseman, Millard. A couple of balls that could be hits, but it's just been Flower Mound's day.
It has been. I mean, I know the comparison with the Rattlers, snake bit. I mean, that's just the word that comes to mind. It seems like they just have not had any luck today at all. But
Start counting the outs.
Got to make your luck now. Yeah, it's that time. And this was the inning yesterday where they had the big 4-run rally against Atascocita. They were trailing 3-0, had looked fairly flat offensively, and then they got it going in the 5th. And that was a good hit right there, just, right at someone.
Leone 0 for 1, a fielder's choice. Catcher for San Antonio Reagan. This one's hit into shallow center, and it will be caught by Juan Hennon. 1, 2, 3. The Rattlers go in order yet once again. Middle of the 5th. Flower Mound, another run, and the game is over. And so is the championship. The 2014 UIL Baseball 5A State Championship game is brought to you by your Texas Ford dealers. There's a reason why Ford is the best in Texas. Stop by your Ford dealer and drive one. By DQ, the Texas stop sign. For the best treats, eats, and drinks in Texas, stop at DQ. And by State Farm. Visit texas.statefarm.com to get to a better state. Flower Mound, all they need is just another run, and then the 10-run rule would be in effect, and state championship would be theirs. Neither one of these teams have won a state championship in baseball in their school history. And to lead it off, very likely could be our player of the game, Connor Juan Hannon.
Very important here for Connor Heffron to kind of get started like he did last inning. Throw strikes, get you some early outs here. Had 2 quick outs last inning before he ran into some trouble. Rattler faithful trying to stir up Reagan.
He is not off to a good start in the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, this one's coming right down I-35.
Yep.
That was in the passing lane, but okay.
A little bit on the corner.
On the tollway. Or
Mopac. Another strike.
And the Flower Mound
Fans are getting to it,
yeah.
behind the third base on deck circle.
That's the chant. That's a chant you hear a lot this year. We believe we will win. I noticed last week at softball, the Alito fans, when they start that chant, they get the baby powder going and everything.
Fun-spirited group.
Sure, have a little fun.
Full count to Juan Hennon. And that will be caught in center field by Warhorse.
Hit that ball pretty hard. It kind of hung up there, but that was laced out there to center.
Well, after falling behind 3-0, Heffron comes back and gets a really dangerous hitter in Connor Juan Hennon. Come up with a pinch hitter, Alec Pollock.
Yeah, Pollock's a senior. Get these seniors in here, you know, this is something they're going to remember for the rest of their life.
Pollock came in yesterday's ball game as a pinch runner.
You know, you think about those at bats, and Get yourself a hit while your team won a state championship. And then that stat sheet. There it is.
Lines it to left.
Oh.
But making the play is the freshman Cade Bormett. Really impressed with that young man out there in left field. Game-winning hit, a walk-off hit against Eagle Pass in the regional championship game. That was a one-game playoff for San Antonio Reagan.
Yeah, they had to get past Laredo Alexander before them, Corpus Christi King, Northside Brandeis, and Comal Canyon.
And 2 up and 2 down, just like it was in the 4th inning. The first 2 were retired. Then they scored a pair.
I think worth noting also, Reagan beat Victoria East 2-1 earlier this year, and that's a team that made it to the 4A state championship game. They've had some good wins this season.
Mitch Andrews. And he's down the count 0-2. Andrews got the game's first run home on the RBI single to left. Brought home Juan Hannon. It made it 1-0. They eventually scored 2 more to make it a 3-0. And then they had a 4-run second inning. And he had an RBI, another RBI single. And 2 for 3 today. Mitch Andrews. Andrews, a senior, coming into the tournament, hitting .327. Slightly open stance.
Early runs make a big difference in baseball. Pitching with a lead, the pitcher can focus more about throwing strikes, not worry about the consequences of it as much.
Especially when you got a win or go home type situation. Well, let's go home for both these ball clubs at the end of the game, but here. Lifted foul. Oh, fair. Beg your pardon. That was just down the right field line.
That's trouble.
Andrews is going to go to third, and he'll slide safely. Ball gets away, and this could be the game, and that is it. Lost it down the right field line. It ended up being a fair ball. And a triple and then a throwing error ends the game, and that's the state championship for the Flower Mound Jaguars. They finished their season at 34-12-1, and the senior Mitch Andrews. Big triple, and then the RBI. Rather, excuse me, then the throwing error. What a memorable moment for those young men. State champions 2014, the Flower Mound Jaguars. Our play of the game is brought to you by DQ, the big play of the game. And it happened in the second inning with Andres Sosa lifting a fly ball with Tim Millard, third baseman, in foul territory. And he just reached over and made the play. The third base dugout. That is our DQ big play of the game as the Jaguars win the state championship in a 10-0 win and a 10-run rule. About to do the presentation of the medals. Let's go down to the field with Jeff Power.
We're here with Danny Wallace now, and nothing like ending it with a walk-off home run by Mitch Andrews.
Great hustle play by him at the end. He just was going to go and let it happen.
Tell me about this feeling. What a team. We've been talking about you guys the last couple of days about how fundamentally sound you've been, the way y'all play this game. And here's another example of it today.
Hey, you just can't compliment the boys enough. They've been so fundamental and then we got hot. And if you're going to be fundamentally sound and hot, you're going to win.
Hey, and luck doesn't hurt. Game of inches, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. You get breaks along the way, and all of those are awesome for us, and I don't even know what to say right now.
How about Seth Jordan? How about the job he did? Johnston yesterday. I mean, y'all have been getting some great pitching.
We got great arms, we do. And Seth's been a 4A guy for us. I mean, a 4-year guy for us, and it was hard to take him out, but B.J. Myers deserved to be on that mound too. So, yeah, it's just a great team.
Both headed to West Virginia.
Yes,
Final
sir.
Thoughts here. You win a state championship. By the way, Flower Mound has been to the postseason every year, 14 straight times in this school's history, and now you win the championship.
Yeah,
First time.
It's great for our community, and we're just so excited to have it for them and bring it home.
Danny Wallace, thank you so much. Appreciate
you.
it. Go
Appreciate it.
celebrate.
All right.
All right, let's send it back upstairs to Gerald.
What a win for the Jaguars, 10-0. And we will come back to wrap it up here from the Dell Diamond in Round Rock. A 10-0 win for Flower Mound. And again, Jeff Power down on the field with our Ford Player of the Game.
Here with Connor Wanhanen now. First of all, what does it feel like winning a state championship, especially having, 4 hits in this 2 days?
I mean, I'm at a loss for words. I mean, this is the most incredible feeling I've had in my life to this point. I mean, just our guys, halfway through the season, if you would have said we'd be here right now, absolutely not. No way, but we've turned it around. We came together as a family, and we did this for each other.
Connor, we've talked about your team being fundamentally sound. Y'all really play the game of baseball well. Defense, offense, situational hitting. Talk about the way y'all played the last 2 days. Has this been what it's like in Flower Mound all season?
Our pitchers have carried us the entire season, and everybody on our team will say that. They've done a fantastic job, and our bats have come around when they needed to. In the last few rounds of the playoffs, we've played as well as we wanted to coming down here, and it paid off.
How about this? 14 straight years y'all been to the playoffs. The school's only 14 years old, and now you win a state championship the first time ever. Put that in perspective.
It's absolutely ridiculous. We're so honored to be that first one, and hopefully the guys coming up can keep this tradition moving along.
I think you got an MVP trophy waiting for you, by the way.
Well, thank you.
All right, Connor Wanhanen, let's send it back upstairs to Gerald.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Wanhanen will be headed to TCU next year, and a memorable moment for the Flower Mound community as they win their first state championship in school history, and the first time since 2008 that a team from the Metroplex wins a 5A baseball state championship. For San Antonio Reagan, first time getting here to the state tournament, and they made the most of it, just coming up a bit short. Congratulations to Danny Wallace and the Flower Mound Jaguars, the 2014 5A state championship. For everybody at Fox Sports Southwest, I'm Gerald Sanchez.